The Central Bank of Belize's mission is to advance the well-being of Belize by facilitating sustained economic growth, protecting the value of the Belize dollar, and assuring a safe, sound, and efficient financial system. Our vision: an organization defined by a culture of excellence, leading financial transformation and enabling national development.
The central bank is somewhat of what I like to call a gatekeeper. You need to know that we are there, you need to feel comfortable that we are doing our work, but you don't need to see us. We are more or less a referee for the system to ensure that the interaction between depositors and banks and borrowers are conducted in a fair, transparent, and open manner. And we are there to make sure that those who own and manage banks do so, manage them in a prudent way, that they would not jeopardize the stability of the system, nor will they put at risk the interests of depositors or other stakeholders. And so we tend to guide the system by just taking regulatory action where necessary and only when necessary.
The Central Bank of Belize is the only institution authorized to issue Belizean currency. Its duty is to assure a high degree of confidence in the financial system, maintain monetary and price stability, and supervise and regulate the financial system.
Central bank actually sits on top of the system as a regulator or a mediator to ensure that banks operate in a prudent way and that depositors' interests and shareholders and other stakeholders' interests are protected, and also that borrowers and customers of the bank are getting a fair interest rate or a fair treatment in terms of their interaction or business activities with the bank.
The Mayan jade head featured on each of Belize's currency notes is an indication of the pre-Columbian beginnings of Belize's monetary system. Jade was one of the most valuable methods of payments used by the Maya, but everyday trading was conducted with currencies such as cocoa beans, salt, and seashells. Today's legal tender is vastly different. The Belize dollar now provides a standard medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value.
The Belize dollar must be accepted to conduct or transact any business in Belize. All contracts must be written in Belize dollars. The central bank does not itself produce or print the money. The money is printed by a firm called Fiscal in the UK, and they provide us with an adequate supply of money.
A currency board was established in 1894, and in 1976 it was replaced by the Monetary Authority of Belize, which became the sole authority to issue notes and coins. The legislation establishing the Central Bank of Belize was passed in 1981, and the bank opened its doors on 1st January 1982. In 1983, it put into circulation the first issue of banknotes bearing the words Central Bank of Belize. All Belize currency notes issued by its predecessor, the Monetary Authority of Belize, were also deemed to have been issued by the Central Bank.
The amount of notes and coins in circulation is approximately $520 million. It is important that we monitor the amount that is in circulation because we have to hold the amount of assets to cover that amount of liability. It also helps us to replenish our stock, our inventory, to ensure that the public has enough notes and coins to use and spend. I would just want to remind the public that when you look at your currency note, know your money. Know no more than one feature. At least check for 3 features to know if it's genuine. You have the watermark with the denominational electrotype, that is the letters are written right underneath the watermark, and the security thread, if you hold it up, it's spelled Belize and it forms a straight line.
The Central Bank provides key banking services and advice to the government of Belize.
Central Bank is the principal bank for the government of Belize. It accepts deposits on behalf of the government, it makes payments, and also it assists the government in its cash flow management by providing overdraft facilities from time to time. When it comes to the payment of debt now, the Central Bank manages the debt payments recording and payments of external debts for the government of Belize. They operate a system that comes from the Commonwealth Secretariat that helps to manage each loan, each disbursement, and each repayment as required. The central bank would sell the foreign exchange to the government of Belize and make the payment on behalf of the government of Belize. They would charge the government of Belize account for the proceeds of the cost of making such payments. So the central bank really does quite a bit of work for the government of Belize in this regard.
The central bank serves as fiscal agent for the government in two arenas, the international and the domestic arena. In the international arena, foreign transactions involving international financial institutions, the central bank shall be the fiscal agent. On the domestic arena, in addition to the regular fiscal agent duties such as collecting and dispersing money, the central bank encourages the development of the domestic market by issuing and trading of government securities such as treasury bills, treasury notes, and treasury bonds.
The central bank is the guardian of Belize's financial system and its money supply. We are responsible for ensuring that the money supply is going in a stable way and that the value of our currency is stable.
Belize is a small, open economy with a limited productive base. Consequently, it is heavily dependent on imports and must have adequate supplies of foreign currency to pay overseas suppliers.
When your economy is small and open and dependent on foreign markets, there is a need to have stability. It is felt that a fixed exchange rate in this type of economy is conducive to the type of environment that encourages savings and investment. In situations where people begin to doubt the value of the currency or begin to be afraid that the currency will not retain its value, then there is a tendency for capital flight to occur because people want to protect the value of their financial assets. Capital flight, in essence, has a very negative effect on economic growth and stability. And what you have is it sets up a cycle of high inflation, low investment, low growth, high unemployment, social instability, and it feeds back on itself.
The central bank has undertaken several monetary policy reform measures since 2009. Following years of fixed-rate trading, the market for treasury bills was open to competitive bids as the bank began taking active steps towards the use of open market operations as a monetary policy tool.
The main aim of central bank's monetary policy is to achieve stability in growth and stability in the value of the currency. Because Belize is small, it's open, and it's dependent on foreign markets, we need to have foreign exchange. Consequently, we look at trends in growth in credit as well as trends in growth in foreign exchange movements. The rough estimates are that we spend about 60 to 65 cents out of every dollar on foreign imports. So we must achieve that balance in growth in the domestic component of the money supply and the foreign component of the money supply.
Foreign currency brought into Belize should not be exchanged on the parallel market, but brought into the banking system. Everyone should contribute to building up the pool of foreign exchange in the banking system so that supplies remain adequate to meet the needs of consumers and businesses.
The central bank has established a financial stability unit, and the responsibility of this unit is to develop national financial stability indicators, assess the vulnerabilities within the financial system, and to recommend as needed strategies to mitigate or increase resilience to system-wide threats and risks. In 2008, the global financial crisis highlighted the need for central banks to shift their focus from viability of individual financial institutions to assuming responsibility for system-wide financial stability. For example, all commercial banks in Belize hold the majority of their foreign currency in banks abroad. So if something happens that affects the viability of those overseas banks, the country could lose those foreign currencies.
The central bank is the regulator for the commercial banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions.
One of the responsibilities of the central bank is to regulate and supervise banks, credit unions. The reason for this is banks are businesses different from companies. They take the public funds and they invest the funds in issuing loans. And because it's risky, these entities need to be supervised. We supervise them to ensure that they are managed in a safe and sound manner. This is done in two ways. First, we do off-site surveillance and on-site inspections. What we do is we collect data from the banks and do analysis of their performance on a quarterly basis. We visit the banks once every 2 years to ensure that they are in compliance with the Banks and Financial Institutions Act and to ensure that they are in compliance with their own policies and procedures.
The central bank provides information to the public through publication of economic reports, statistics, circulars, advisories, presentation to target groups, as well as research papers done on monetary, financial, and economic issues that fall within its scope of responsibility. This information is disseminated through hard copies, by email, or can be found on our user-friendly website. An informed public should be able to better analyze national issues and make choices or decisions that foster and not undermine economic growth and development.
The minting of collectible coins is done in accordance with the Central Bank of Belize Act with the approval of the Minister of Finance, the Right Honorable Prime Minister. The Central Bank of Belize has been minting coins since 1975, which include over 50 gold, silver, copper, nickel, and medallion presentation coin sets. These commemorative coins are symbolic of Belize's historic milestones, national symbols, and endangered species. They mark a fascinating insight into our history and rich culture and are considered memorabilia for future generations. Also, these coins are valuable to international collectors because they are intricately designed and are produced in limited quantities. The most recent collectible coins were a coin commemorating Belize's 30th anniversary as an independent nation, and a gold and silver coin depicting the Maya mythical end of the world on the 21st of December 2012, which marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new era. One can visit the Central Bank of Belize's website to view a unique gallery of collectible coins and the collectible coins that are for sale.
The central bank is leading the modernization of Belize's financial system.
Currently, the main payment instruments used in Belize are cash and checks. However, over the past 5 to 10 years, the use of electronic payment instruments has increased significantly. These electronic payments are debit and credit cards that we use at POS and at the ATM, credit transfers to make bulk salary payments, as well as online bill payments. In respect to checks, the clearing and settlement arrangements are paper-based and manual. This means that the period in which customers get credit when they deposit a check is longer than it necessarily has to be. For instance, in our current environment, it takes 3 days to receive credit for a check drawn on a bank in the city and 7 days to receive credit for a check drawn on out-district branches. In regards to electronic payments, the networks of some financial institutions are not connected and as a result, not as interoperable as they ought to be. It means then that customers can only make intra-bank payments. So, using your account at a particular commercial bank, you can only transfer funds to other accounts held at that same commercial bank. Doing so electronically to another commercial bank is not possible in this current payments arrangement. In regards to payment cards, while we can say that they are relatively efficient, we definitely need to improve the level of interoperability so that a customer can use his payment card at any ATM or POS equipment of any bank in Belize.
The Central Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and the banks are committed to the development of a coherent, efficient, safe, and integrated national payment system that would meet international standards.
The payment system is an integral part of the financial system. As regulator of the financial system, therefore, the central bank is responsible for oversight to ensure the safe and efficient operation of the national payment system. The reform process is very comprehensive and takes into consideration the key stakeholder input. We will be implementing an integrated system. This integrated system will connect financial institutions and their various networks to allow interbank payments and intra-securities trading and settlements. Efficiency gains will include lower cost of financial intermediation, lower cost of payment transactions for businesses and other customers, and also faster availability of credit so that funds can be utilized for conducting business activity and other payment obligations. Very importantly, the system will facilitate monetary policy operations and capital market development.
Another modernization feature is the establishment of a credit bureau. Since 2010, the central bank and stakeholders have been working on establishing a national credit reporting system.
The credit reporting system, with the explicit authority of borrowers, will collect and share credit history information with financial institutions. This credit history information will provide better credit analysis to be conducted by these lenders and better credit decisions. The better credit decisions that will be made through this improvement in analysis will translate to better loan conditions and interest rates for borrowers. In addition to that, it will reduce the default rates in the system. Access to finance will also increase as borrowers without collateral will be able to negotiate a loan based on their credit repayment history. The central bank will regulate and oversee the credit reporting system. The legal and regulatory framework will provide for confidentiality, data protection, and consumer rights and remedies.
The financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 created many challenges for central banks across the globe, including the Central Bank of Belize. The crisis in most of the developed countries was felt to have been a direct result of weak regulation for certain financial services and derivative products. While we did not suffer from a direct impact from the financial crisis, we did recognize that there were many vulnerabilities in our system and that we needed to change our approach to regulatory oversight of the financial system to protect and preserve the stability of our system. In that regard, the central bank decided to take a new approach to the way it does business. It was a more inclusive approach and the use of strategic planning and modern management tools to implement that plan.
The key strategic projects being undertaken by the Central Bank of Belize focus on improving monetary policy transmission, enhancing bank supervision, assuming responsibility for financial system stability, developing Belize's financial infrastructure, and providing more information and education to the public on the financial and economic system. For more information, visit us at www.centralbank.org.bz or call us at 223-6194.